parable. The two wisest men who ever lived was Solomon and Jesus Christ. They shared some unique traits. They both were master teachers. No wonder people love to read the Proverbs of Solomon and the parables of Jesus. Solomon's Proverbs were actually an early simplified form of a parable. For instance, when Solomon says in Proverbs 25 and 28, he says, whoever has no rule over his or her spirit is like a city broken down with its walls in deterioration. Whoever has no rule over their own spirit. See, lack of self-control is like a city with no walls. If Solomon had taken the time for parables like this, he was just telling you that without any city walls, you had no protection. And if you had no protection, you could always be in danger of someone always surprising and attacking you. And that will happen to people who do not maintain self-control. He would be moved from a proverb to a parable because Jesus' parables were preferred method of teaching. Look, there are 35 parables or short stories of Jesus that are recorded in the four Gospels. 19 of those are unique in Luke's Gospel. See, many of Jesus' parables uses the word like. It says like, but even when his parables do not formally use the term, it is most likely implied because he told these parables to illustrate a truth. Some have described a parable as an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. The word literally means to come alongside of. So a parable takes something that is understood, a simple story or word picture, brought alongside. So the parable is something that is used to illustrate something that is not easily understood. It is like a teacher who uses a word picture. You know, the teacher is teaching her students and the students don't really understand. She said, well, if you don't understand this, let me show you. This is how Jesus used. And imagine some of the disciples says, you know, some of them are just like us. Why don't you just get straight to the point? Because Jesus had a method of showing how things were back then to bring them into the truth right now. He would use things like birds. He said that the birds didn't work or worry about working, but they just went out and did what birds do. He talked about what? The sun, you know, and the rain. He said the rain rains on the just and the unjust. These parables were teaching his disciples, and he says not only are they teaching, but sometimes it is not for people to understand, because he says that you have to understand the mystery. See, the mystery was this scripture was written 700 years before Jesus quoted it. It's in Isaiah. When you get on, read it. Isaiah 69. The thing is, he said, people will see, but they won't understand. They're here, but they won't have an understanding. You know, when I was small, you know, everybody tried to speak in code around me. When I was young enough, you know, I didn't understand. They would speak by using spelling words out. And I was trying to figure out what they were saying. But as I learned in school, they knew I learned how to read. And since I knew how to read, I could pretty much interpret what they were talking about. But then they would start using pig Latin. Anybody know what pig Latin is? Hello? Well, we'll put it like this. You use hood Latin. There's some things we say in the hood that ain't in the book. Hello, somebody. And so those things, learning those things, because mama would tell us to take out the trash, but even though I heard her, I didn't hear her.